Well, the genre for a music video was the indie pop genre. And these are four very conventional members of the genre. It's Vampire Weekend, Mac DeMarco, Jake Bugg, and Neutral Milk Hotel. The first two, Vampire Weekend and Mac DeMarco, are kind of modern. They're very jokey, and they don't really take themselves seriously. And they kind of fit our star image of how we wanted it to look. Jake Bugg and Neutral Milk Hotel are a bit older, and they kind of represent the origins of the genre in that they are more serious, and they're more indie rock. So one of our main inspirations for the video was the video for Metronomy's The Look. And we wanted to capture the shots of the four members all in the same shot, forward facing. So that's why these two shots are kind of similar. And you can see each of the members in the same shot, same placements. And the idea behind this was to make each of the members all have the same significance. So we wanted to get rid of the idea of having a front man, and that's why the role that would typically be the front man, which is guitar and vocals, symbolized by Henry, he does play more of a significance in the video, but he isn't really more important than the other characters. And that's why in this shot, in the first introduction of his performance as a zombie, you can't see his head. His head is cut off. And the idea behind this was to show that he wasn't more important than the others. So we also wanted to capture four of props, archetypal characters in fairy tales and children's stories. The character of Isabel kind of plays a damsel in distress. And because she always runs away from the zombies, and she kind of acts as the love interest to Henry. The main character, Henry, he kind of shifts between the character of the hero in being the main character and being the love interest and everything, into a villainous character. And although he is still kind of jokey, he does victimize Isabel by chasing her down and biting her. And the characters of Louis and Noah act as kind of secondary villains and dispatchers to Henry. So they don't really show up as much in the video, which is why they're not in this shot. Okay, the first two digipacks that we drew inspiration from for our own digipacks were the ones of Vampire Weekend and Prince George. So these two fit very strictly into the indie pop genre. But as time went on and our photo shoots kind of changed direction, I found that one of our digipacks strayed more closely into the genre of chill wave. And those are shown mainly by the digipacks of Taiko and Toro et Moi. And although the song Total Zombie itself is very indie pop, and it is very similar to Vampire Weekend's and Prince George's songs, I felt that the feel of the genre was becoming more chill wave. So our two digipacks were Warm Heart by Sunny Estate and Total Zombie by Lark. So Warm Heart still stayed very strictly in indie pop, and this was the design. And as you can see, all of the members are shown very clearly throughout the digipack. And once this CE is taken off, you can see the final performance, a really clear shot of all of the members. While Lark was the one that changed more closely into chill wave. So as you can see, there aren't any members of the band shown, and the design drew mainly from Taiko in having a logo on one of the covers, and in Taiko's designs they all share the same circle with the card scheme, and it's just different variations of the same design. And I kind of like that, but I didn't want it to be the front cover, so I made it the back cover. So this is the design for Lark, and the design would be the same for future releases, but have different card schemes. So yeah, Lark's design is a bit more abstract than Sunny States, but they share the same base for the CD. So, we were inspired quite a lot by the idea of voyeurism, as theorized by Carol Vanalis, and the character of Isabelle isn't fully voyeuristic in that she's dressed in a very thick coat, and she isn't really sexualized, but she does act as love interest to the character of Henry, and she is chased down by the zombies throughout the video. And so, by that theory, it can be said that the zombies act as voyeuristic characters for Isabelle, trying to track her down and chase her and catch her. So the video had an anachronic timeline in that it starts in media res. It starts at the bite, right in the most dramatic point of the story, and worked its way back to the beginning through a flashback, seeing how Henry and Isabelle got to the point where Henry was bitten and Isabelle runs away from zombies. And that was shown by a very clear switch through a graphic match of just Henry and Isabelle walking to this point where Isabelle is being chased by Henry in a group. The video itself has strands in being a narrative video, a concept video, and a performance video. And we drew inspiration quite a lot from another of Metronomy's videos, a thing for me. And this video has exactly the 3 strands that we mentioned. It starts on a narrative of a man trying to stop his girlfriend from leaving him, and shifts into a performance piece of the 4 members of the band playing together, and then which is shown through this at this point, and then the characters are tracked down, just like in our video. They're tracked down and attacked by this thing, blob. And within the video, the setting is very suburban. It takes place in a field and a small estate, and we wanted to capture this kind of setting in the mise en scène of our video, in that it's set in a field for the first part of the video, and then shifts into the Hampstead Pergola and the recording studio of our school, and we wanted to stay very laid back and have a low production budget, and that's why we were able to shoot in 3 small locations, and one of which was private, but it was our school, and 2 of which were open to the public. So for the website, we drew quite a lot of inspiration from the website of Animal Collective, partly for my version of the Digipack and website, because of the change in direction of the photo shoot. I didn't have any photos of the band, and instead they were represented by 4 animals, and that was drawn mainly from Animal Collective's website, in that they're represented by a panda bear, a man, an owl, and an alien. And I really like this idea of not showing the members of the band like in person, and instead have them be symbolized by different animals and characters. And through the website, going further into the menu, pressed here, it becomes more and more colourful. So it moves from a monochromatic black and white colour scheme into a very vibrant and really much more abstract version of the website. And I like this idea because although I want to keep the website with a very clear colour scheme of blue and green, same as in the Lark Digipack, I like the idea of it becoming more vibrant throughout the website, and that's what I strive to achieve through the design of my website. So in the video, Henry is in the most number of shots, and he acts as a frontman in the video since he's the main protagonist. So the star image in the video is a frontman with the band backing him, but in the ancillary tasks made by me, Thomas, he plays more of a background role, and the band as a whole is more unified in the image. So it becomes more about the band rather than one particular member of it. And this was partly because of the photo shoot and the changes that we had to make in it. Because we didn't get any photos of most of the members of the band's faces, I improvised and I made a digipack with drawn-on elements and ones that didn't really require me to take any photos of the members of the band. Instead, I took pictures of the landscape. But the main similarity that the video and the digipack share are that they share the same color scheme in that they're green and blue. And this carried on into the website, because although this one is more green and white, they do share similarities. There's still green and blue elements in it. I feel the website is a bit more vibrant than the digipack. We'll get back to that later. So the first image that I made overall in the whole production was this image of the Lark. So, and the color scheme came around the logo, the green and blue. So that meant that I was able to come into the music video already knowing what kind of scheme I wanted in the post-production editing process.
However, although pretty much all of our shots in the music video were focused on the characters, on Henry mainly, I feel that the digipack doesn't really share enough similarities with the music video as I'd intended. Because although it says all of the members' names, it doesn't really fit the full image, the full star image of the frontman that the music video had presented. So one image that I think ties the digipack and music video quite closely together is that I still kept the image of a zombie in the digipack. Although I couldn't take pictures or incorporate any screen caps from the video into the digipack, I was still able to still carry the image of the zombie in. It seems quite clear that it's a zombie, especially since it says Total Zombie underneath, and it shares the same name as the single Total Zombie. And all of the digipack, all of the pictures are taken from locations in the music video. These three are taken from the park that we shot the flashback scenes in. The overlay on this picture, the one of the sky and all the branches, that was taken at school looking up at the sky pretty much. And this was taken from another angle of the Hampstead Pagoda where we shot the second performance of the zombies without Isabel. And it's just pretty much moved at a different angle. I put filters on these two images because I felt that they needed a bit more sprucing up, but this image was recognizable enough from the video that I felt that it worked best without any meddling, without any filters on it. I think that the digipack and website have similarities, but they are quite different. Because also in the website, on the homepage, the main image is of one of the pictures of the landscapes that were taken in the same photo shoot as the pictures that I used for the digipack. It shares the same similarity in having the white Lark font right in the center, on top of a picture of the landscape. And similarly, it doesn't have any images of the band. The colors, the atmosphere of all of them are still calm and relaxed, and all of them are pretty similar in tone. I think that the music video was more similar to our original tone in that it had humorous aspects to it. In the images displayed on the band page, they show 4 kind of humorous images of the 4 members being shown as small cute animals, but I still feel that that the image of the band as jokey wasn't really fully carried out into the website and digipack. So the differences between the music video and digipack, between the ones that I created and the ones that my partner Cameron created, were quite dissimilar in that I was quite hesitant to take screen caps from the video and incorporate them into the website and Digipack, because I felt that they'd be too pixelated, they'd be too grainy, and they'd just be awkward to deal with. That Cameron was able to work around this through the use of filters.
So this is my Digipack. As Tom mentioned, I took screenshots from the music video and I sort of liberally use images that we took as well of Isabel and of Louis. So these three are photo shoots that we did. These two were done together. This one was done the same time I did that picture there. And these two here are screenshots that I incorporated into it. I took from the music video. And as you can see, if you compare the images to the music video, over here, you'll see that the colour scheme that I've used is relatively similar, and it's that sort of tint of orange. As you can see, these ones, the orange glow, the orange tint that I've used, which is what we used in this, which is the sort of continuity that I've gone through with the music video, as well as the idea of there being zombies. So like the font here, I decided to make it sort of slightly more zombified with the font. That's the only thing I really did with the Digipack, to make it sort of seem like it was the zombie theme that was run through it. And then if I compare this to my website, which I did, my inspiration for this was a man called Kamasi Washington, who is a saxophone player, and he released an album called The Epic recently. I was heavily inspired by that, the sort of theme that he went through, and the sort of the simplistic layout, and just having the bare minimum that I can have on it without it seeming convoluted, without it seeming overbearing, without you getting lost essentially. And obviously this, I kept with the same sort of colour scheme. I went with the teal and orange, and with the zombie theme that runs through it. And you can see that the text better in here, and here. And I also, on every page, I have a different picture of the band, either together or separately. And then I have each one's a different page. So like the tour will give you dates about where they're going and where they're which venues they're playing. The music is literally a link to where you can buy the music, where you can see it, wherever it's available. The video is just the video and links to it, and it's got the video sort of thing. And I just put the name of them in the centre, and I've got social media buttons and such. And then I just sort of compare, and then it's basically it. And then with this, I just sort of decided to put everyone's names on it that was involved or helped out in a way.
So Cameron, what did you learn from your audience feedback?
I learned a lot from my audience feedback. One of the things I learned was that we made the beginning too long. The scenes at the beginning were just too long, and they told us this. We got the feedback back, and then we made it shorter, because we had too many long clips in the beginning, and we cut it down. And then we also did this for our Digipacks, and not as much for our websites, but we have done a small amount for our websites.
Okay, Cameron, so how did your audience first react when they saw your music video?
Yeah, it was a mixed reaction at first. mainly because the opening was too long. It was just too long. There were just too many scenes of them just strumming the guitar. It just went on too long. Apart from that, great. They loved it. Loved it. And they thought the only suggestion they had, well, obviously at the beginning, too long. We cut that. The middle bit was a bit convoluted with the bite scene. So we refilmed that. We redid that. That was great. That was great. And then the colours were a bit bland. So what we did was we took it, we colour corrected it, and we like added a bit more teal and orange to it, so add a bit more colour, a bit of flair, and then we showed them again, and the improvements were night and day. They loved it, absolutely loved it. The second time round, they was blown away. They thought, wow, can anyone make a better music video? I have no idea.
Who did they liken the music to? How did they think about the video?
Great question. They thought that it reminded them of like bands like Mac DeMarco. What's that other band that what's on there? What's the Lower Dens? Another great band. And then there was two other they talked about, which were, just read my notes, folks. Just read my notes. If I can find it, Family of the Year. That's it, people. And Christina Perry, both great artists. They remind them all those four for different reasons. I think Mac DeMarco because laid back, chill, bit funny edge sort of thing. Family Year because sorry, I'm serious.
Moving on, how did your audience react to seeing your CD covers?
It was interesting, yeah. CD was a work of art. A CD cover is basically a work of art. Any CD cover, you can get good art and bad art. Mine was good. It was good. It was good. I used a lot of the same colour schemes, so that there's that convergence. Convergence. I don't know why I did that, but convergence. Yeah, sorry, I do a lot of things with my hands. Just to make it more interesting. The camera. Yeah, they thought the colour scheme was good. They thought that having all four members of the band, each separate on their own separate little pedestal, got away from the fact that there was a main character and the main singer. Although he was slightly more important, they were not as important. He was not more important than the others, I should say. I almost worded that badly. And then they liked the fact that I had behind the CD cover, which was a beautiful sky shot. That
So moving on, Cameron, upon seeing your digipacks, what did your audience think?
our audience thought many things. The first thought when I showed it to them was the colour scheme. It was very similar to the music video. I tried to keep them similar so that there was a line of continuity, thank you, between them, between each of the scenes. With that, so it was a bit of familiarity for the audience, so they knew what to expect. Front cover for mine was the lead singer, Henry, which upon seeing, I showed it to some of the people that were outside our audience feedback. They were younger, but they recognized who he was, and which was a good indication of how a star, someone who was a fan of that person, like a fan of this star, would react to seeing this person. They were quite giddy, they were quite rambunctious when they saw this. It was, and I asked them about it, and they liked it. They liked the colour schemes. It was quite quite poppy, because it's quite vibrant, the colours. we used to share it to people in our audience in our tertiary, no, primary group, which is 15 to 25, and within that they thought relatively the same thing. We asked them a few more questions, like how much they pay for it, what sort of genre they thought it was, and did it remind them of any sort of CD covers that they've seen before, and the answers, and what they pay for it was anywhere between £8.50 to £12.99. Because what's different with our CD cover to others is that it had an extra fold out, which meant that we could include more pictures, we could include more things basically. And the other artist it reminded them of was, again, Mac DeMarco's 2. It reminded them of Vampire Weekend and other bands. And we asked them would they buy it if they saw it in the shop, they knew nothing about it. And many of them would, about 50% of our audience feedback, about 20 people, said that they would consider picking it up just by looking at the CD cover. With the website, we learned that people didn't want it to be overly complicated, so that they just wanted clear buttons to press. They didn't want it to be too convoluted, but they wanted to be they wanted the website to have enough information and have sort of bells and whistles on it to keep you interested in, and just find that balance was really useful with the audience feedback. So yeah. This is the Canon 7D. We used it, this was our secondary camera that we used. We used a Sony camcorder as our main camera, just as the same one we're recording on now. We'll show that later. Basically, we use this with the DJI Ronin, which we'll show you again later. It's a good camera. The lens we used was an 18 to 135mm lens. It was good because we used it for sort of wide, expansive shots. We didn't use it for any close-ups, or some close-ups, but we mainly used it for long, far-away shots. So we used it for them walking. We used it for the walking shots. We did it for the panning shots, and in the band shots, we used it for like the sweeping shots. And it was very good for that because it was focused. Okay. So this was the first time that we used the camera of this caliber. I personally used a 700D before, but I've never used a 7D, which is a lot better. I think it costs about £2 for the lens, the camera, the body on its own. Sort of serious bit of kit. It was very easy to use, as I said earlier. It's an all-round good camera. Okay, so this is the Canon XF100. This was the main camera that we used. And it's very good because, well, it's a film camera. The microphone, although we didn't use it, is we've got a Rode microphone on it, which is, Rode are probably one of the best manufacturers with microphones, but that's another thing entirely. On this camera, it's got a fixed lens, but the lens of this has got 10 times zoom. It is it's a 4 to 42mm lens, which was good because we used it for the close-ups and the general sort of band scenes where we didn't have to move it as much, and it required much depth when using it. Another good thing about this camera is the fact that you can use external mics and stuff on it. Obviously we didn't use that, but we're using it right now, which is obviously a good thing. The zoom on this and the focus are really easy to use. I think this camera is probably one of the easiest cameras that we use compared to the Canon, which I think was slightly harder to use because it's a bit more finicky, it's a bit more professional in the way because it's not meant for filming, it's more meant for photography. Although it does have although it does have elements geared towards film, it's more geared towards photography, as I said earlier. Last year I used a bigger version, a Sony camcorder, a very big Sony camcorder, which is somewhat similar to this, but it was a lot bigger and a lot more cumbersome. But this was a pleasure to use compared to that. Buttons, it's got buttons everywhere to like use everything. So it's got, so if you're holding it like this, so it's got buttons up here. You can adjust everything here, so it's incredibly easy to use compared to the camera I used last year. This is the Ronin. This is what it looked like assembled with the camera on it that I talked about earlier, the 7D, with the 18 to 135mm lens. It's really good for just sort of the, as I said earlier, the walking scenes, because it keeps the camera completely steady. There's no movement in it at all, and we'll show clips of that as we do. It's a bit fiddly to set up. That's the only downside is because you've got to balance this. You've got to balance it so that it should stay in every position naturally. So like at the moment it's not balanced correctly. It would need to be balanced like this. Once it's like this, and there's a remote control you can use to move it around, move the whole setup around, which is really good for like if I was going to walk with it. If I was going to walk, like hold it here, it's really light as well. So if I was going to walk here, my partner Tomek could control the angles and control everything the camera was doing. So we can get really nice cinematic shots because of that. We use this for the band scenes, as I said, the walking scenes, the running scenes. That's why it looks so smooth when we did that. It was, as I said earlier, it's quite hard to set up. It takes quite a lot of steps to do so, and it took me, I think, about an hour to do it the first time, like to fully balance everything, especially with this lens on it. At the moment, I don't have the. It should have a thing here, but this is meant to be here to keep the lens up, and the lens support. That's what it is. This is the lens support. Yeah, so good piece of kit. Okay, so this is the app. It basically tells you like the motor, and it's not connected at the moment, but here will tell you the stiffness and trim, which basically tells you how much the motor is being used to keep it steady. If it's balanced enough, it shouldn't need to be enough. You shouldn't need to. And then obviously you've got the controls here. You've got the dead band, which basically states that how far left and right you have to tilt the arms and legs to move it, for it to move. And then you've got the other things, you've got the speed, so how fast you want it to move from point to point. And then you can look at this basically tells you again what sort of control, how much the motor is being used, and why, if you need to adjust the settings anymore. Because I know what I'm doing. Even record now. Okay, so putting it on is definitely a struggle. But luckily, I realised I had it the wrong way when I was trying the first time. Just like this, like that. Now, if you know how to do it, it's not hard. But most people forget to tighten this, otherwise it moves around. If you don't tighten this, it sort of moves around and causes a mess. It's a great little tripod. Let's try it. Although I haven't quite figured out everything about it yet. It's got these buttons on it that I'm not really sure what they do half the time. And I'm not really like that. It's a good tripod though. It's a Manfrotto. What tripod is it? Oh, it's a Manfrotto.
504 HD.
Huh?
504 HD.
Oh, it's a Manfrotto 504 HD. Thanks to my researcher back there, typing away. This is the case it came in. Very light, very easy to carry. Very good. There isn't really much to say about a tripod, apart from it's kind of hard to put on, if you're an idiot like me.
Say when you used it, or
I've used this. We use this tripod pretty much every time. I used it last year. I used it this year, and it's the main tripod we used. Yeah, we didn't use any other tripod. Although there are other tripods we could have used. I'm gonna grab the other tripod. Just show
I
off.
can just.
Oh, okay.
On your own.
Our trusty cameraman is. So let's compare them together. Let's compare them together. Look. This is a tripod. This is a lot smaller tripod that's still made by Manfrotto. This is a Manfrotto 535 M Pro apparently. It says so here. Oh, it says the name here, isn't it? 546 GB apparently. That's what some. So this is a heavy duty one. This is a more lightweight one. This one comes with a case. I don't know about this one. Done.